Hey guys, welcome back. Here we're looking at a report that was automatically generated based upon an alert from my firewall. So here an alert comes into my AI agent, then it goes through a bunch of predefined steps and checks, and then it provides a summary of what it actually observed during the time of the event. So typically, once an alert comes in, it's up to the network admin to look into what actually caused the alert to happen. So here in this instance, the firewall triggers the alert to the AI agent so that troubleshooting can be done at the point in time of the incident to help diagnose what the issue might be. So typically for critical alerts, you would receive an email and then you need to look into as to what caused the alert. By doing these predefined checks, basic troubleshooting and validation, what it's doing is it will save you time and then it will help you decide quicker if this is something that you need to look into further. So in this video, what we'll cover is on the firewall. In this case, I'm using a FortiGate as my firewall. They have an automation tab. So stitches, triggers, and actions, how those are configured to send the alert to my AI agent. Then I have a new container called net Sherlock that runs a sherlock.py file. We'll briefly review what exactly is happening in this file. And then in the container, this container only listens for webhooks from the firewall. So it will review the logs when an alert comes in, the steps that it's taking to produce the final output we see here as a report. So back to my FortiGate under the automation tab, under actions. Here I have two webhooks created, one for routing and then one for SD-WAN. We'll look at the one for SD-WAN. So here I'm saying HTTP. It goes to my AI agent / webhook on my custom port of 8020. This is my HTTP body of the variables from the log file. So if you look on my right hand side, this is the same firewall. This is a log file for SD-WAN going down. So it was for VLAN 810. The member changed, and then it went from the old value, it was alive, then the new value, it went to dead. So basically VLAN 810 for SD-WAN went down. So what that's going to capture is this information here. So if I look at my Sherlock container, when the log message comes in this case, I'm simulating the event, and I'll show you what I mean later on when we actually do the query live. So the alarm says SD-WAN held change, member change state, which would be this message over here. Here it has the firewall name. Then the interface is VLAN 810, which it gets from here. And then the transition alive to dead, it's the old value and the new value. So that's the action that you would configure. I found it easy to test this. I did one for login attempts. That way I could trigger the event quickly as possible just to make sure it's showing up in my webhook on my Sherlock container. So then we look at the trigger. So in this case, it's my SLA failure. So in this case, you're just mapping. So it's just looking at the event log. It's looking for the SD-WAN SLA information warning. And that's what it says right here. SD-WAN SLA information warning. So once that's mapped, then you just do the stitch, which is tying everything together. So here is my SD-WAN failure alert. So you're just tying the original trigger to the action, and that's pretty much it. So I'll briefly go over the Python file for my Sherlock container. So here is my function that gets triggered once the webhook from the firewall is sent. And then here it determines what type of emergency it is. Next is my run investigate function. So based upon the webhook, it's going to look to see if it's an SD-WAN alert or BGP OSPF alert or IPsec tunnel. It's whatever you built out for now. I'm just looking at the SD-WAN. So as you can see, this is just regular expression parsing. There's no AI here. It's predefined checks that's happening. So once it identifies what the emergency is, it will use the playbook. So if it's an SD-WAN failure, it will start to go through, connect to the firewall and do the checks. So health check, CPU check, memory, session drop, local and config, and then there's more logic in here, physical errors. So it's logging in and doing these checks and providing the output. Again, no AI. So when I was doing this logic, I didn't want it to just stop at the firewall for this event. I wanted to look at the switch. So on the FortiGate, it can look at the neighbor to find the neighboring switch. So here I have this function where it will find the name. And then from the name, it's able to talk to my netbox to get the IP address. And then it will connect to the switch. And then it will look at the interfaces connecting back to the firewall and test those interfaces. And then it will also find the uplink for that VLAN, for that internet circuit, and then also test that end as well. So now I'm going to simulate a trigger from the firewall. Because my SD-WAN isn't working to trigger correctly due to the virtual routing I have it set up, I'm going to do it manually from a curl command. So I'm basically saying SD-WAN member changed, which is the same log you would see on the firewall. It has the device name, it has the interface information, and it went transition and went from alive to dead. So again, the same things you would see in the log. And now it goes to investigation queued. Now if I go to my container that receives the webhook, now it's going through the predefined commands and steps for an investigation. So I'm just going to let it run, just give it a second for it to finish. Okay, so here it's the output from the predefined steps that we have, and then it takes that information and sends it to AI to provide the summary, and then it saves the report. So just to review the log, so as you can see here, it's connecting to the firewall, and it's running different commands, getting the output. It's having to connect multiple times to run different commands to get different outputs for different investigations. Here it tries to get the neighbor from the switch, but because of my virtual lab, it doesn't have a switch directly connecting to it. It's all virtual. So it wasn't able to do that investigation on the switch. Typically, in a production environment, you would have connected to it. Here it's checking the gateway from the firewall for ping connectivity. And then some other routing protocols it's checking for. So if I go back to my front end, so now it's saved as a report. It'll be the first one. This report could be an email. I just wanted to see it visually somewhere I could see all my different reports that I generate as a test, see what the output looks like, and then do a couple other things. So here it has my report. Again, it has all the different pass, check, warning. I also put in here the commands because I want to see what's happening. And then it has here my analysis. So here it's saying the session's been stable for over 12 hours. SD-WAN's fine. So based upon the alert I sent it, it's saying everything's fine. SD-WAN's up and running. Your connection is stable. I don't see any drops. So there's nothing for you to do here. I did include three links here. So draft an email to the ISP, meaning if there was an actual problem and, AI verdict said, there's something that we need to follow up or there's some packet drops on the ISP's link on the switch. it will automatically generate an email. So this is something, so this is the raw output on the right-hand side. I believe you can see all of that. Yep, you can. Um, and then it takes this raw output and then it crafts it into an email. So it's AI, but it's being very specific to your environment. Writing purport intermittent connectivity issues. So even though we don't have an issue, it's saying that, hey, we detected an issue, but it was fine. Is there something that you need to check, which is the worst things to check for. By the time they receive this email, they're not going to know what to check because it just doesn't work that way. Then the next one would be draft a ticket note. So this would be like some type of service desk, ServiceNow ticketing system where instead of just coming to like a dashboard, maybe it'll just create a ticket automatically. Basically saying what was discovered, what the evidence was, and what the analysis was, just for record keeping. And then the last one I added was chat with this report because I always feel like there's always a learning opportunity somewhere on the network, something you may not know. So what it's going to do is it takes all this raw information from the report, and you could actually ask it questions. And what I would like to ask it is like, can you check the SD-WAN link again and tell me if the problem is still occurring? We're doing this live, so let's see what happens here. So now we're using AI. So AI will look at the report. It will delegate it to my FortiGate MCP server. My FortiGate MCP server should technically log into the firewall, run the. I'm not giving it context as far as what SD-WAN link or name. SD-WAN connection is both stable. BGP, okay. Connection is both stable. The original issue doesn't appear to be service impacting at this time. Here is the current status. So BGP both are established. Okay. And then, you can just chat to it. So someone that doesn't know the environment, or you could just talk to the report here. Just ask it follow-up questions specific to this report to get answers without having to tell it what the switch name is, what the device name is, the IP address. It already knows all this information. So you just need to basically just talk about what is important, which is the report findings. So if you think that's cool, please like and subscribe. And there's something else I'm working on. It's called Neo4j, which is very interesting. So that will be my next video. I think it has a lot of potential, but it's still in the early phases of setting it up and testing and seeing how this incorporates to viewing the network from a holistic perspective. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.